Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 12, Episode 15. And let me just say, y'all, this episode was amazing from beginning to end. Garcelle and Sutton are those girls of this franchise. They are carrying Beverly Hills on their backs. They deserve a raise because they have been clocking into work and clearing everybody. And I am here for it. They're giving what the other girls were supposed to have gave, in the words of Rolling Ray. And I was just clapping because the way Sutton got Erika in the beginning and then Garcelle got Erika in the end, just chef's kiss. But let's not jump ahead. Let's just get right on into it because you guys already know we don't have a minute to spare. So we start this episode off right where we left it last week with everybody still at Dorit's charity dinner. And we have Rinna being dramatic, wanting a moment. She's like, I'm just so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry for crying, but it feels good to let it out. And then, of course, you have Erika over there dabbing her eyes with some Kleenex. I said, girl, don't do that. These theatrics is not needed because we didn't see not nan tear come out of Rinna's eyes. And if I'm being honest, I wouldn't be surprised if the four of them cooked this whole thing up. So anyhow, since it's Kyle's birthday, we learned that Garcelle actually got her a cake. So now Dorit's like, okay guys, let's all sing happy birthday to Kyle. And again, there is no way that I would have been singing happy birthday to Kyle. I probably would have A, thrown the cake out, or B, given the cake back to Garcelle, because there's no way that I'm going to celebrate you while you try to ruin my party. So they finish singing happy birthday to Kyle, and then you have Kathy Hilton talking about, okay, so now what? So while all the ladies are cutting the cake and talking amongst themselves, we see a short scene with all the husbands outside, and PK is telling them all about his new business venture. He's going to be doing real estate and cryptocurrency, and I was confused because I was like, okay, so how does that all work? And when Crystal's husband, Rob, was asking PK, like, okay, so, what does that mean? What does that all entail? And then PK said, well, it's just too complicated to explain. And if I told you, I'd have to kill you. I said, yeah, you can't explain it because it's probably another scam. I'm going to be honest, y'all. I've never understood what exactly PK does. I remember earlier on in the show, he was a talent manager, I think for Boy George and a few other artists. But it just seems like PK always has his hand in something. And did anybody else catch that remark that PK made to Mauricio when he was like, Mauricio, as much as you are the king of real estate, you're about to bow down because I'm about to be the emperor of real estate. And I was thinking, well, isn't that a strange thing to say to one of your best friends? It almost sounded like PK is low-key competing with Mauricio. I definitely got some jealous vibes. Because why would you say that? So we jump right back to the ladies at the table and how the spat that she had with Sutton 30 minutes earlier, it just triggered her. So Sutton says, yeah, I didn't like that either. So mind you, while they're talking about this, the charity representatives are still at the table along with the doctor's wife. And you could tell that the doctor's wife was not amused. She didn't think that it was funny. She was bored. She was irritated by all the fighting. And then when they were like, oh yeah, you don't have to stay for this. And then she got up and left. She was like, shout out to everybody. I have fun.
Oh! Shout out to everybody. I had fun.
I gotta be good.
Now the charity reps, they were loving all the drama because they were sitting there, they were not leaving. They were like, okay, let's get some popcorn and some ice cream because we want to watch you guys continue to fight. So now Crystal starts off the conversation and she says, well, since we're addressing the other issues in this group, let's discuss my eating disorder since it has been a hot topic amongst this group. So she says that she spoke to Diana and Rinna the other day at her house, and then she spoke to Sutton a few days ago, and she goes on to say that she's actually been seeing somebody about her disorder since she was 13 years old. Of course, you have Kyle being the know-it-all that she is, and she's like, but are you seeing the right people to help you with this? And I'm thinking, Kyle, you need to learn how to be quiet and let people tell you what they want to tell you. Crystal is not obligated to tell you her personal business. Let her share what she wants to share. But you poking and prodding and prying is very aggravating. And I just want to know, Kyle, how would you feel if the shoe were on the other foot? If one of the other women said, okay, Kyle, let's address the scandals going on with you and your marriage, the cheating rumors about Mauricio, along with the lawsuits that you guys have been in. Let's talk about that. Kyle always wants to talk about somebody else, and it's very aggravating. And if we're being honest, Kyle really hasn't had a storyline since LVP left the show. So Crystal says, well, actually, earlier today, I was interviewing people for hours. So I'm actively trying to get help for this. So now Rinna interjects and she's trying to take credit. She's like, yeah, I actually sent Crystal a list of people. And it's just like, if you're going to do a good deed, don't talk about it. Did they need to know that you sent her a list? It's just very self-serving. And then you have Erika chiming in, telling Crystal how she wants Crystal to get past this and she wants her to get help so that she can live her life to the fullest. And I said, oh, okay, Erika. So it's okay for you to show concern for somebody else's situation, but when somebody shows genuine concern about what's going on with you and your drinking, you want to get upset. Got it. And may I ask, isn't it a bit hypocritical for y'all to be talking about Crystal's eating disorder behind her back? So it's okay when you guys do it, but when Garcelle and Sutton say anything about what you guys are doing, then it's an issue. Again, the hypocrisy continues to jump out on this franchise, and it's really pissing me off. So Garcelle says, well, now since that's settled, is there anything else that we need to clear up in this group? Sutton jumps in, and when I tell you that Miss Sutton Stracke clocked all the way in, because what she said next, I said, girl, you better let Erika Girardi have it. So Sutton sets it up real nice, and I already knew that what Sutton had to say was going to have everybody shook. So Sutton says, well, actually, I have a problem because I did not have a good time at Rinna's wine tasting last Saturday. I was really upset about being called a liability because I pride myself on being a good friend. Then she goes on to add that something actually happened to her that she didn't speak on, but tonight is the night. Now, one thing about it, Sutton is always about to shake the table and bring out her receipts. So she says, well, it's something to do with friends with liabilities because I was actually contacted by an attorney regarding Tom and Erika's lawsuits. So already, Erika's face is cracked. Rinna's in shock. Kyle's stuttering. She's like, wait, what? Like, I don't understand. Were you called in as a witness? Like, what happened? So Sutton says, the attorney contacted me, thought I had some info. They wanted me to go to Chicago. I'm not going to Chicago. I don't know anything, so I'm not saying anything. So now Rinna starts questioning Sutton, and she's like, so was this a subpoena or a deposition? And Sutton says, look, I hired a litigator to answer any of those questions. All I know is I'm not giving anybody anything because I don't have any information to give. Now, when Erika jumped in, did you guys notice how her voice was slightly raised? And it was sort of cracking at the same time because she couldn't believe what she was hearing. And so she says, I already know what they're going to ask you. You said it was a rumor. That's what they're going to ask you about. I was sitting here with a smile from here to here because Sutton was just so calm the way she was gathering Erika, because she goes on to say, I mean, Erika has a lot of lawsuits in front of her. I said the shade of it all. I said, Sutton, sis, please send me your address, please, so I can send you a back brace. Because once again, you are carrying. I mean, I just loved it. Erika's face was so stuck because Sutton had just cleared her. Talk about embarrassing somebody, exposing somebody, spilling all the tea that whatever she's telling you is a lie because mama's in 11 lawsuits, not just one or two. If these ladies were smart, they would realize that Sutton is playing chess while they're playing checkers, and they would actually want to be her friend. It's just so hilarious how they try to give her the hardest time, but yet each and every time she comes out as the winner. Not only are her and Garcelle the fan favorites, but she always has receipts. Always. She has not lost yet. Now, Sutton must have had a few glasses of wine because she was really lit. She was like, Erika was a liability to all of us all last year. And you're the liability, not me. I said, Sutton. I said, Miss Sutton, go on ahead. I was just so here for it, y'all. I love seeing somebody get their lick back. I really do. And Erika has been so nasty to Sutton for a year and a half. And to see Sutton just clear her the way she did, just so smoothly, I said, you can't ask for anything better. So Erika's upset because she's now been found out to be the liability. And she's like, but that's not my fault though. I told you last year to be quiet. And Sutton says, no, you didn't. And Bravo rolled those tapes back. And all Erika was saying to Sutton last year was, do you want to be sued? And threatening her. Dorit gets on my nerves so bad. I just think that she's such a follower, no mind of her own. And when she started questioning Sutton, I was like, girl, shut up. Talking about, do you think that they were targeting you because you were the only one asking questions last year? And it was like, Dorit, be quiet. You and Kyle were also asking questions last year too. It was not just Sutton. I loved when Garcelle stepped in and said, no, Sutton was not the only one asking questions. Like, everybody in this group had something to say. And I didn't like how Erika was making faces when Garcelle stepped in either. And then when Garcelle says, I'm not being her bodyguard, I'm just saying, Garcelle, you don't have to defend yourself because you want to stick up for your friend. They all have each other's backs. They all jump in for each other. You and Sutton have the right to stick up for each other too. Don't apologize for it. Let them think or say whatever. They can make all the faces that they want to make, but it's not stopping anything over here. You have every right to step in and say something and defend your friend. Period. It's just so sick how they feel like everybody has to follow their rules. That's not how this works. So in the midst of all this going on, now you have Diana jumping in. I forgot Diana was there. That's just how boring and insignificant she is. And she's like, Garcelle, I think that you're the most guarded one in this group. So Garcelle says, what the hell? How do we go from discussing Sutton and Rinna's argument to liabilities to me being guarded? Garcelle is so annoyed. She's like, okay, Diana, what do you want to know about me, girl? Like, ask away. So Diana says, Garcelle, I really like you, but I want to get to know you better, but it feels like I have to jump through hoops to be your friend. And it's like, why should I even try if you're going to keep shutting me down? I said, first of all, you seem awfully pressed at the fact that Garcelle is not jumping up and down and sweating you the same way that Rinna and Erika are. Garcelle has been in the game for over 3 decades. She is not thinking about you. And it seems like you're also upset because you're used to people fawning over you and wanting to be your friend since you have the most money. And I love when Garcelle said, why would I be rushing to be her friend when she trashed me in the group text and then was a total bitch to me at my own birthday party? If she wants to get to know me, she can Google me like everybody else. I said, that's right, Garcelle. I would have told Diana just as calmly, like, Diana, you do have to jump through hoops to be my friend. I don't give out my friendship that easily. And I don't like your attitude. You've been nasty to me. So no, of course we're not going to be close. Of course I'm going to be guarded. I wouldn't have appeased Diana. I would have had her sitting there looking dumb. Because you're not going to force my hand to be your friend. Especially if you've been nasty to me in the past. Like, it's not happening. Let me just quickly say that these last few episodes have really highlighted what fantastic housewives Garcelle and Sutton are. Like, they have really been shining. I'm here for it. I can definitely see them on this franchise for another 5 or 6 seasons because they know how the game is played. They have really come out their shell. They're not biting their tongues anymore. And I'm just here for it. So you have Rinna inserting herself in this conversation, and she was giving major Karen energy because here she goes defending Diana like Diana is some poor, helpless victim. She's talking about, do you hear her, Garcelle? Do you hear what Diana's saying? Do you hear how she feels right now? And I was thinking, let Diana fight her own battles. The same way you get upset anytime Garcelle sticks up for Sutton, why do you feel the need to open your mouth and try and stick up and understand how Diana feels? Diana's a big girl. When she signed up for this show, she knew what she was getting into. So Rinna goes on and on about how she hears the pain and sadness in Diana's voice. I was like, girl, if you don't shut the entire F up, what pain and sadness? And so you had Diana jumping back in talking about, look, Garcelle, I just want to get closer to you and get to know you better. That's all I want. So Garcelle says, well, me too, Diana. I would like to get to know you better as well. So now Garcelle snaps at Rinna and she says, did you hear that, Rinna? And what do you think about that? And now Rinna has the nerve to say, Garcelle, why do you have to be so defensive? Why do you have to say it like that? And I'm like, you're not going to sit here and police Garcelle's tone. You guys talk to people very nasty. You curse at folks. You're angry at people. You have a very sharp tone when you speak to people, Rinna. So don't sit up here now police how Garcelle says something. You're not all sweet and gentle, so don't expect that same sweetness and gentleness from somebody else. They want everybody to play by their rules while they don't play by the rules that they've given. I don't like that. If you want to be bitchy to other people and be vile and nasty, then you cannot get upset when other people, i.e. Sutton and Garcelle, return that same energy. I might be a bit dramatic. Somebody might say I'm reaching, but I really feel like the 4 of them, Kyle, Erika, Rinna, and Dorit, are really out to break Sutton and Garcelle's spirits. They really have this disdain for the both of them. They hate their friendship. They hate that the fans love them, and they hate the fact that Garcelle and Sutton are right. They're the ones in the wrong. So now Garcelle starts snapping at Rinna, rightfully so, and she's like, Rinna, ask me how I feel about what Diana's saying to me. And so Rinna says, well, I think that you're fearful. And Garcelle's like, fearful of what? And then Rinna trying to be all fake deep talking about, well, only you can answer that question. Like, only you would know that. But I think that you should lead in love. And I was just like, you know, obviously you're playing around because you of all people could not have the audacity or the gall to twist your mouth to say that anybody should lead in love. Not after you were screaming at Sutton 45 minutes ago at the dinner table. It's just so comical. I really have to just say that Rinna knows what she's doing, but she's trying to make good TV. That's what I have to tell myself because there's no way that she's believing the words that are coming out of her mouth. So now Garcelle says that just once in a while, she would like for somebody in this group to acknowledge her when she's right. Now Kyle chimes in and says, you just want to feel supported. Now I was thinking, Garcelle, you're never going to get that from this group of women. They don't like you, and you need to just learn how to deal with that. Like, you're asking for something that they're just never going to give you. And Kyle trying to act like she understands where Garcelle's coming from. I said, Kyle, if you don't stop it, because you'll be the first one throwing Garcelle under the bus the next time you see her. So now we get to a short scene with Crystal and Rob at home, and they're discussing Dorit's charity dinner last night over a glass of wine. So Crystal brings up how her eating disorder was a topic of discussion. So Rob's asking why they brought it up, and then Crystal says that they brought it up because of her Instagram post a few weeks ago. So Rob says that even he was surprised that she posted about it because she keeps it very quiet. And now Crystal says that while the group wants to help, She doesn't want to feel like she's on their timetable, and she also does not want to feel like she has to answer to them. Now, while I can't relate to what Crystal's going through, I do understand her feeling like, I don't want to answer to any of these people, okay? Like, I get that. Crystal is a grown woman. This is her issue to deal with. They don't know what she goes through on a day-to-day basis, and it's very rude of them to set these time limits and tell her what she should be doing. It's just very insensitive. Crystal should be able to go at her own pace. And like I told you guys in last week's recap, I truly don't believe that they're that concerned about her. I think that Garcelle and Sutton care. The rest of them, I don't think they care at all. And Crystal, if I were you, I'd be like, I don't want to talk about this with you guys. Like, no offense, but I don't. It's very personal to me, it's very traumatic, and it's just none of your business. So stop bringing it up, and if I want to inform you about anything else, I'll do that. But in the meantime, leave me alone about this. So now we see Crystal start crying, and I felt really bad for her because it's clear that she would like to get help for this, but you know, it's hard, and it's not going to go away overnight. So as Rob is comforting her, we see Kathy Hilton come to their house. She lets herself in, and she's like, hey guys, is anybody home? So now Crystal's drying her eyes, and Kathy walks into the kitchen, and she's like, I'm so sorry, Kathy, I was just crying. So Kathy sits down, and she's like, look, all the girls love you, they care about you, and they have your best interests at heart, but at the end of the day, nobody in this group is a doctor, a lawyer, or a therapist. So you should not feel any pressure from anybody to answer questions that you don't want to answer. And I said, thank you. Somebody gets it. You should not ever feel obligated to answer a question that you do not want to answer. Some questions are a bit too personal, especially if you don't know somebody like that. Now, I was screaming because Kathy must have been hungry after dispensing all that advice, because she was like, I'm hungry. Do you guys have a cracker or something? Now, I was thinking, if y'all knew that Kathy was coming over, why didn't you already have a nice spread prepared for her? You all are too rich for all this. I mean, they were scrambling to get some crackers and some cheese ready for her. I was like, this should have been done. And I was really on the floor because while Kathy was eating the crackers and cheese, she was like, you know, I drive all this way and this is all I get. Now, this next scene with Kyle at home with her family, she's opening up her birthday present. I'm not going to hold you. Not a whole lot happened. It was kind of boring, so we can just breeze right on past it. But I will say that that food that they ordered from Joe's Stone Crab, my mouth was watering. So now we jump to the next scene and we see Rinna and Erika meeting up for lunch. Now, when I tell you, I think it's so interesting at how they can't stand Sutton, but they can't seem to stop talking about her. Because the way Sutton dominated this conversation, I said, wow, she really lives in your heads rent-free, huh? So Erika's asking Rinna how she's doing. And so Rinna says, I'm good. I'm taking it one day at a time. But I have to say, I was not expecting myself to break down at Dorit's dinner, but it felt good to let all the feelings out and all the anger out. Then she goes on to say that Sutton seems to be a trigger for her. And then she says, and I think that Sutton is a trigger for you too. I said, y'all really need help because Sutton isn't your trigger. You're just triggered at the fact that Sutton keeps winning these arguments against you guys because you guys are liars. Sutton always has her receipts and she exposes you guys. You're just upset. That's all it is. But don't blame Sutton talking about, well, she's a trigger for me. It's like, no, she's not a trigger for you. And that's a lot of power to give somebody. I would never give anybody that sort of satisfaction of letting them think that they have that much power over me where every time I see them, I'm upset. Absolutely not. If Sutton triggers you, then you need to go seek help and get some therapy. So now Rinna has the nerve to say, besides my breakdown, why did Sutton feel the need to talk about what you're going through? So Erika says, yeah, she chose to keep that quiet and then expose it and throw it out there in a public forum. I said, hold on, let's not do this, because y'all have spent seasons exposing people. So what Sutton did was fair game. And also, let's not forget the fact that Erika has been so awful to Sutton for the last year and a half. So she had every right. And if the shoe were on the other foot, you and Erika would have done the same thing. Y'all are just upset that Sutton is single-handedly beating you at your own game. I don't know if you want to be the victims or the villains, but like I always say, you can't be both. You need to pick a side and stay there. But you want to teeter the fence and be nasty to folks, and then in the next breath, oh my gosh, why would she say that? Why would she do that? Can you believe that she just exposed you like that? And it's like, no, like y'all need to pick a lane. So now they both agree that Sutton does have her fun moments, but that she flips. And then Rinna says, you know, I do like her as well, but she likes to poke the bear and she's her own worst enemy. I was thinking, it's clearly a lack of self-awareness, because the fact that you of all people are saying that somebody else likes to poke the bear, you are always poking at somebody. Always. Like Rinna won't stop until she breaks somebody down. And then we end the scene with Rinna talking about how excited she is about her 70s party for her Rinna Beauty launch. And Erika's excited. She's talking about she wants to do a Studio 54 / Jerry Hall vibe. So from one duo to another, we now see Kyle and Sutton hanging out, and they're meeting up for drinks. And we already know what to expect. Every time Kyle and Sutton get together, it's just more craziness on Kyle's part. It's evident that Kyle does not like Sutton. I want her to stop pretending like she does. The constant picking at her, the gaslighting, always saying that Sutton is defensive. It's nauseating. So Kyle says, you know, Sutton, you threw everybody off with that comment that you made about all the legal mess going on. So Sutton says, I wasn't doing it to talk about the legalities. I was talking about it to prove a point at the hypocrisy and the double standards, and how Erika does not take accountability for the things that she does and says. So now Kyle adds that Sutton dropped a bomb the other night and how Sutton is stirring the pot. I was just like, you know what, Kyle? It's really about to be me and you, because, girl, on what planet are you calling somebody else a shit starter when all you do is instigate? You started the whole entire fight between Rinna and Sutton at Dorit's house in the first place. Had you not done that, then this whole thing with Sutton dropping that piece of information probably would not have been revealed. And one of y'all made such a great point where they treat Sutton the same way the Potomac cast treats Candace. Because Candace always gets blamed for her mouth, but nobody ever puts the blame on the people who provoked her to say something crazy. I am so glad that Sutton is not biting her tongue, because when she told Kyle, what really bothers me is the fact that we have a woman in this group who put us in a bad situation, but yet you guys keep defending her and I don't understand why. And Kyle looked so dumb because all she could say was, why are you so defensive, Sutton? Like, you have to let people talk. And here's what kills me. I really hate the way they throw certain words around so loosely, because Sutton is not defensive. The same way they vocalize their gripes and issues with Sutton, she has the right to voice when she's upset by this group too. So now they change gears in the conversation, and Sutton starts telling Kyle that she actually has a date later on tonight, and she's trying not to get flustered. So now Kyle's like, I mean, Sutton, you're showing up looking like that? Like, you just look so rich. You need to tone it down and look a little bit poor or something. Like, don't let the man think that you're going to take care of him. And I'm thinking, it's a bit too late for that. Whether Sutton does tone it down, the person that she goes out with knows that she's on TV. So, I mean, I don't really know what to say. All Sutton can do is just keep going on these dates and hope that these guys are rich.
Bling, bling, bling. Bitches is mad.
So So now we jump to the next scene, and it is the day of Rinna's 70s theme Rinna Beauty launch party. Now we see all the ladies at home getting ready, and it was so funny because when they showed Dorit getting ready for the party, she put on her roller skates, and so she was skating around the house, and PK was nervous. He was like, babe, take them off, you're gonna fall and hurt yourself. And when I tell you that their daughter Phoenix was not having it, and she was like, Daddy, stop it. Let mommy skate around the house. She's doing fine. It's going to be your fault if she breaks her neck because you're making her less confident. And I could not stop laughing because PK was like, well, you told me. So now we flip to Rinna arriving to the venue. She's excited. It looks good, decorated nicely. We have the gift bags for the ladies. And it was funny because she was talking to her business partner, Cheryl, and when they walked over to the bar to get a drink, the actual bartender wasn't there yet. So it was two ladies from the brand there behind the bar, and Lisa's like, okay, so can I get this drink? And they were like, oh, well, we don't know how to make that one, but we have the first two drinks already pre-made. I can give you that. And Lisa was being so annoying. She was like, okay, so when is the real bartender coming? Because I need lemons in my drink. And it was like, girl, you just got here. The guests haven't arrived yet. The bartender isn't there yet. Calm down and just drink what they pour you. Like, she was just doing the most. I don't know why I was so irritated by that, but I just was. So now we see Crystal and Sutton arrive, and we see Cherie arrive. And Miss Cherie, I have a little bone to pick with you because I saw your latest interview where you're talking about Sutton is a liability and how you agree with Erika. I'm like, no, ma'am. And I'm disappointed because I had such high hopes for you, but now I'm giving you a major side eye. And I don't know if I want you to come back in any capacity on this show because I'm thinking like, why do you want to be in with them so bad when you know how they've done your good friend Garcelle? Like, I don't like that. So now we see Garcelle arrive. I thought her outfit looked so cute. And it was so funny because she was like, yeah, I used to go to Studio 54 all the time. And I would be hanging out with all the celebrities. And there was one time where I was sitting at this table and they had all this. And they asked me, do you want to try some? And I lied and said yes, but I really didn't want to do it. And then when they gave it to me, it all fell on the floor and they were so upset. But she was like, I was laughing on the inside like, thank you, God, because I didn't want to do it in the first place. I probably would have lied and said that I had a stuffy nose. Like, oh no, I'm sick, but next time. So now we see the rest of the ladies arrive. Kyle and Dorit show up, and Diana and Kathy Hilton arrive. And they're all taking group pictures, having a good time. And now we see all the ladies sit down, and Kyle invites them all to Aspen. Now, as we all know, this Aspen trip is about to be a hot ass mess. We've all heard the reports that Kathy Hilton allegedly loses her mind, and she allegedly will be throwing out some slurs, the F slur and the N word, and we're going to see how that all plays out on this trip. Kathy, they're saying that you might not ever show your face on TV again after we see what goes down in Aspen. So anyhow, Kyle says that while her home in Aspen is a nice size, there's not enough space to have everybody stay there. So she's like, there's another house down the street that some of the ladies can stay at. So Garcelle says, that's where I'll stay. And then Diana says that she'll just stay at a hotel because while she's a great hostess, she's a very demanding guest. And to save everybody the trouble and the irritation, she'll be at a hotel instead. Now, Diana, while I don't like you, while I don't see it for you, and while I want this to be your first and last season, I'm with you when it comes to hotels. I'm a hotel girl myself. Okay? Give me the nearest Ritz-Carlton, Four Seasons, W Hotel, St. Regis, and I'm there. Okay? Waldorf, Astoria, you name it. But I will always pick a hotel. Always. So now we see some dancers come out, and Kyle, Garcelle, Dorit, and Sutton go up on the dance floor to join them. And when I tell you that Dorit was doing the most, I said, okay, Dorit, we get it. You have a crumb of rhythm. Not much, but a crumb. But girl, you're doing too much. Now, I was surprised that Rinna didn't join them and dance because we see Rinna always dancing offbeat on Instagram. So I was very surprised that she just sat there and watched them. I said, Rinna, this is your time to shine. So now we see Kyle and Sutton having a side conversation, and Kyle is asking Sutton how she feels after they last spoke about Dorit's dinner party. Now, before Sutton can say anything, Kathy comes over and interrupts, and she's like, oh, what are you guys talking about? Are we going out after this? Kyle's annoyed at Kathy interrupting, so she's like, Kathy, please let Sutton finish talking. It's very important. So Kathy gets up and walks away, and now Kyle is asking Sutton again about this whole mess between her and Erika. And I was thinking, once again, Kyle, you guys are at a party. Why do you have to bring this up now? It's like Kyle has a hard-on for pressing Sutton on a very personal and serious matter at the worst times. Leave her alone. Why is that so hard to do? So here goes Kyle making things even worse, being super dramatic, and she's like, but I don't understand why she said that. Why would she call you a liability? What does she mean by that? And so Sutton says, girl, I don't know. So now Kyle's like, well, why don't you ask her? And before Sutton can even say anything, Kyle turns around and she's like, Erika, what did you mean when you called Sutton a liability? I was just like, you know what? Kyle, had Sutton thrown a drink in your face, it would have been well deserved. Because how dare you? This is between Erika and Sutton. Why do you always have to put yourself in the middle of everybody else's issues? Just shut your damn mouth. Why is that so difficult? If I were Sutton, I would have cursed Kyle out and walked away. I'm not doing this here. So of course Erika's being a jackass about it, and she says that she was pretty much calling Sutton a hindrance to the group. So Sutton is offended and she's like, am I a hindrance to this group? Garcelle says, no, not at all. So here goes Kyle being messier than she already is, and she's like, oh, okay, I see. Their relationship is keeping us from getting closer to Garcelle. I was like, you know what? At least you finally admitted you're mad at Garcelle and Sutton's friendship, and you want to break them up. But let's be clear, y'all still wouldn't be friends with either one of them, even if they weren't friends anymore. So Erika says, yes, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. And now Garcelle jumps in and says, look, you can't treat me well and then treat my friend like garbage. That's not going to work. Like I said earlier, the Fox Force 5, whatever they want to call themselves, that stupid ass nickname, they always have each other's backs. Because now you have Dorit and Rinna chiming in, and Dorit says, Sutton, you talking about all of Erika's legal issues and all her lawsuits, that was really below the belt. And then Rinna says, yeah, that was effed up. That was just so mean. And I'm thinking, Dorit, not too much, sis, because the way you revealed what Crystal told you in private to the rest of the group when she wasn't there at Rinna's wine tasting, that was evil and messy, and you know it. So again, how dare you try to get on Sutton talking about, girl, that was messed up, that was just so evil, that was so wrong. Oh, girl, we're not going to do this. It's almost as if these women can't see themselves and how vile they are. They're always critiquing somebody else's behavior when their behavior is 100 times worse. So Sutton disagrees. She says, no, it wasn't. It was not below the belt. And now you have Rinna clapping back, talking about it was really messed up, it was really mean, and I don't have your back. So Sutton says, girl, you never have my back, so what's new? And Rinna, you really thought you ate talking about have your own back, Sutton Stracke. I was like, okay, girl. That's the best you could do at your big age? Like, how embarrassing. How old are you, 5? You probably had to write that down and remember that because you were dying to say that all night. So now Kathy interjects and she's confused at what they're all arguing about. She's like, are you guys discussing what happened at the Toothless Not Homeless dinner. So now Dorit gets mad and she's like, Kathy, this is a very great organization and the name is Homeless Not Toothless. And Dorit, let me tell you and Sharon Stone something. Homeless Not Toothless is an awful name. It's demeaning, it's degrading, it's extremely insensitive. Like, okay, you still don't have a home, but look at that Colgate smile. Like, come on. Whoever came up with this name should be embarrassed. And I also didn't like how Dorit was trying to chastise Garcelle for laughing. And it was like, Dorit, please stop. The name is dumb and you know it. And what Kathy said was actually kind of funny. So here goes Kyle talking about the mess between Sutton and Rinna. And she's like, you know, Rinna, I know that you had strong feelings towards Sutton. Obviously, they haven't gone away. Rinna agrees. Sutton's like, one day Rinna forgives me. The next day she's screaming at me. At this point, she's pretty much doing this old 1970s dance called the back pedal. And I want to know, is there really a dance called the back pedal? So Rinna goes on to say that eventually the issues that she has with Sutton will work itself out. And I'm thinking, well, how? Because you're always screaming at her and cursing at her and telling her to get the F out of your home every time you see her. So I'm confused as to how all of a sudden one day it's just going to work itself out and you guys are going to ride off into the sunset together. Make it make sense for me because I don't ever see you guys getting on the same page. And you see how delusional Rinna really is because when she was like, you know, at the end of the day, I have a right for my outbursts and I'm giving myself grace because I'm dealing with grief. So I'm just going to cut myself some slack. And again, you cannot use grief as an excuse to treat people poorly and show your ass. Plenty of people, including myself, have unfortunately lost a parent and we did not take that out on other people. That's just not an excuse. Like I said in a prior recap, you were nasty and vile before all this happened, Rinna. So what was your excuse then? Now Sutton jumps in and she's explaining herself. She says that yes, she is a loose cannon at times. And I'm thinking, Sutton, compared to everybody else in this group, you're actually pretty tame. So now she compares herself to a colt, which is a baby horse. And now, as she's trying to make another point, she gets rudely interrupted by Erika. And one thing about this group, you have to make your point quickly because rambling on and on is going to get you cut off. And you don't have time for that. I was annoyed that Sutton was kind of rambling, going off on a tangent. I was like, sis, I need you to not be so long-winded and get to the point. Like, we really don't have a minute to spare, sis. Like, I need you to, get to it quickly. So here's where things go left. Erika says rather loudly, and I have a drinking problem, and starts laughing. So now Garcelle says, oh, really? Like, we want to do this right now? Like, okay. Crystal's like, wait, who has a drinking problem? Garcelle says, not me. And then Erika jumps in and says, not me either, but you've been pushing this narrative that I have one. And Garcelle's too nice for me because I would have said, you're damn right I was pushing a narrative because when you decide that you want to curse at my 14-year-old son, we're going to have a problem for life.
Thank you. And you're going to always get it again and again and again.
Garcelle says, let's be clear. I was never pushing a narrative. I told you to your face that you need to figure out your medication usage and your liquor intake. That's what I told you. So here goes Erika being the jackass that she's always been. And now she wants to get shady and she says, but may I tell you something, Garcelle? If I did have a problem, you would actually be the last to know because Kyle, Dorit, and Rinna are the closest to me, so they would know. And if I actually did have a problem, they would have been the first one to pull me to the side and tell me. So Garcelle's annoyed. She's like, girl, I know that. You guys let me know that you guys are super close every time I'm around you. And did y'all catch those really smug looks from Kyle and Rinna? I'm like, y'all are just so sick. Y'all are almost 60 years old acting like you're still in high school. I'll say it time and time again. Kyle is one of the worst people to be around because she does stuff behind your back. She will smile in your face, but the whole time she is plotting on your downfall. But she does it with a smile to put you at ease. Whereas Rinna and Erika are a bit more upfront about how much they don't like you. So now Erika starts whining about how it feels like Garcelle went to everybody in this group talking about how she is a problem. And Garcelle's like, oh my gosh, Erika, don't pull it. I did talk to everybody about it, but it was out of genuine concern. I just want somebody to let me know, how is this different than what you guys do regarding Crystal and her eating disorder? Because y'all have talked about it amongst yourselves. You've talked about it in group settings. So that's okay, but Garcelle expressing true concern and wanting to know other people's opinion, that's wrong. Got it. So of course Erika's doing the most. She's like, but is that to make Erika look bad, or is this out of genuine concern? And when I tell you that Garcelle had the line of the night because she said, Erika, I don't have to make you look bad. You do that on your own. I said, Garcelle, you better get a raise by the end of this season. I said that one line, Garcelle cleared. Cleared. Erika's face was stuck when she said that. So now Erika calls Garcelle a liar. Garcelle's like, girl, you know I'm not lying about anything. And then Erika claps back and says, you know, I just feel like, are you doing this out of genuine concern, or do you have ulterior motives? So Garcelle says, at the end of the day, sis, your decisions don't have shit to do with me. If you want to mess up your life, then have at it. Like, I really don't care. At the end of the day, it's your life. Destroy it if you want to, but it makes no difference to me. Of course, Dorit has to hop in and defend Erika, and she's like, Garcelle, when you and I went out to dinner a few weeks ago, I told you, you know, I know Erika. I've known her for such a long time. She's never acted like this. I don't think that she has a problem. And when I said that, you told me, stop being Kyle, stop being Kyle, stop being Kyle. So Garcelle's like, girl, I did not say it that way. All I said was stop being Kyle. Like, I didn't put any extra sauce on it, and you're doing the most right now. And we know that Dorit exaggerates a lot. And when they played the clip back, Garcelle said it very calmly. And if I were Garcelle, I would have really gotten Dorit together, and I would have said, Dorit, are you sure you want to do this? Not when we were all at Rinna's wine tasting the other day, and you exposed Crystal for vomiting every day. Are you sure you really want to do this? I would have taken it there. I would have made sure that she regret ever jumping in the conversation in the first place. And I notice a pattern with Dorit. When she gets into arguments with the other women, her tone is a bit different. But she switches it up when she argues with Garcelle. I just noticed the little voice change, and she tries to put some spice in her accent. Like, girl, what's all that about? And you're bobbing your head like this, talking about, you know, don't be Kyle and trying to imitate Garcelle. I didn't like that. So now Kyle interjects, and she's like, well, obviously, there's a lot of hate between Sutton and Erika. And now Sutton jumps in and says, Erika, I'm going to call you tomorrow so that we can talk and clear the air and just have a one-on-one conversation. So, of course, Erika lives to embarrass Sutton. So she's like, no, please don't call me. Like, I don't want to talk to you. Thank you. And I was thinking, Sutton, for the last time, stop trying to clear the air with these women. I would not be saying anything about calling Erika up for nothing. I would be paying Erika dust. Me and Erika could be sitting right next to each other, and I'd be giving her my ass to kiss. What am I clearing the air with you for? Like, we're not doing this. And I'm getting irritated because while I'm happy that Sutton is standing her ground, she needs to go a bit harder. Because I still detect that she still wants to be friends with these women. And I need her to stop. So Kyle's like, well, hopefully we've all gotten a little more clarity on our relationships with each other. And it's like, but once again, Kyle, here you are ruining yet another event. Because there was no reason for you to say anything to Erika about what went down between her and Sutton. You started this whole entire mess. This is so unnecessary. So now we see Kathy turn to Garcelle, and she's like, oh my gosh, did I get snapped at about the Toothless and Homeless organization? And then she says, Garcelle, I'm going to call you because is it homeless, not toothless, or toothless, not homeless, homeless, not toothless? And she keeps repeating it. And Garcelle's like, Kathy, you are so crazy. Please don't call me up. And Kathy really had me on the floor because she was just so over the party and so over the fighting. And it's clear that she's just so over that name for this charity. That's where the episode ends. And y'all, when I tell you that I cannot wait for these upcoming episodes of them in Aspen, because I need to see all the mess go down. And it looks like in next week's episode, we're going to see Garcelle let Erika know that she is paying her dues and that she has no desire to be friends with her. I said, girl, I am here for it. But y'all, Beverly Hills has been very explosive to say the least. I need for half of this cast to be fired. I've been reading the blogs that it's looking like Erika and Rinna are going to be getting their walking papers at the end of the season. Won't he do it? Thank you, Jesus. But I'm going to need to see more of these ladies get the boot as well. But guys, that was my recap. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all so much for watching. And you already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all later. Bye.